Hello all, this is Dr. Jason Munsell, and I'm looking sort of wonky at, actually, it's 1:33. I haven't showered yet. I got up and did a lot of work and then went to go run about 4 or 5 miles, and I've been working since. Showers are stupid, and this is online, so. What I wanted to do here is to give you a little bit more information about the paper, and I have put a assignment or more information online on KC that you can take a look at. It's called Critical Essay Assignment, and as I said on the syllabus, it needs to be about 10 pages long. It doesn't have to be right at 10. It could be 30. 12-point type, double spaced, 1-inch margins. Don't use any crazy font. It ought to be in English, por favor. Parenthetical documentation and works cited in MLA or MLA, the Modern Language Association, again also known as the Modern Love Association, because we all love to write. And I do want a title, something clever with a colon in it, because colons are fun. The Rhetoric of Public Memory, colon, carriage rides and race in Charleston, South Carolina. I don't know. But you don't have to have a full title page or abstract or anything like that. And you might think 10 pages is a lot for a summer class, but really, you can write 10 pages in 10 minutes. Now the topic is going to be, as I said when I was talking about all this stuff in the syllabus, a place, a site, a heritage site, as Bowman would call them, or places of public memory, and it can be something that's done virtually, so it can be online. You could actually go to this place, or it could be an amalgamation of the two or more. If you read the paper that I submitted, it goes sort of all over the place. It moves from the State House to Maurice's Barbecue and back. But in any case, it should be, topic should be something like, I'm going to do the State House grounds, or I'm going to do a carriage ride in Charleston, or I'm going to do a gullah tour, or I'm going to go to cow pens, or whatever. So it needs to be something like that. And what I have in there is that you also will want to decide on a sort of a critical approach. That is, you're going to be borrowing from one of the chapters in our textbook, or again, borrowing from multiple chapters, and coming up sort of with your own critical probes. And you can also just borrow from some of the stuff that I put on the PowerPoint. Of course, don't cite the PowerPoint, that's silly. Just borrow my stuff. Paraphrase, but you can sort of borrow that stuff. And that's going to be your sort of critical lens, or your method, so to speak. So what I say here is that you ought to have a beginning. Obviously, the first 3 pages sort of function as a literature review. If you've taken some of my other classes, you know what a literature review is. It is a review of scholarly literature that is relevant to your own study. And what I'm asking you to do here is to simply, in about 3 pages, summarize the main ideas from the introduction of our textbook. Now, if you want to, and again, it's got to be paraphrased. I mean, you can have some quotes in there, but paraphrase it. Use your own language. Don't cheat, in other words. Don't just cut and paste. One thing that you can do, if you wanted to, is to also pull in other chapters from the book as part of your literature review, or if you want to go crazy, you could do some extra research and use CMMC, Communication to Mass Media Complete, database that you can get from our library, and see if you can find some other essays about issues of rhetoric and tourism and things like that. That's all fine and dandy, but I'm not asking you to do that. So the first 3 pages, generally a summary of rhetoric, place, and memory, and the things that the authors say about that. And of course, you could take a look at how I did this in my own paper that I submitted, and that's on my Tumblr blog. Even though you have those 3 sort of pages, that's sort of a review of that introduction, you still want to have a first paragraph that is your own introduction to the entire paper. So really that lit review starts with your second paragraph. The first paragraph, I'm very, very clear exactly what I want you to do here. So a lot of this, you just have to pay attention and follow my directions, and you'll write a brilliant paper that you can submit to a conference and win fabulous prizes. So I say first you want to start by grabbing the audience's attention here, the reader's attention, maybe something that is introduces the topic, whatever. You start. It was a chilly morning in Charleston, South Carolina, but I was ready for a carriage ride. Little did I know that the entire tour would indeed take me for a ride. This ride was whatever. But grab the audience's attention, and then next you want to explicitly state your goal and your thesis. And you do want to have a thesis. You want to have an argument, an overarching argument that you want to make about your topic, whatever that topic is, whatever that place is. And so I don't want you to steal my language, because again, that's cheating. But I give you some really, really specific language or specific ways that you can write this. I say here, in this essay, how I analyze a carriage ride tour in Charleston, South Carolina. I argue that the physical tour of being in a carriage, including costuming, and the narrative the tour guides offers works to celebrate Charleston's wealthy past, and thus implicitly works to legitimize past slave labor. I just sort of made that up. I've taken the tour, but it's been a long, long time ago, but interesting argument. But notice how you can also write in first person like that and be very, very explicit. That's sort of how we do this and write stuff in communication studies. In this essay, I will do this. I argue this. I contend this. I suggest this. That's important. And that's tone, that style is important. Next, what I want you to do is to basically have a justification for why your place is an important place to study. And again, I give you some language here, but I don't want you to steal the language, but it can be useful for you to see how I generally want this. So this is what I say here. This is an important tour to study because of the way it communicates a type of official memory about Charleston and the South when it comes to the wealthy, should be wealthy classes and issues of race. So that's something like this. This study is important, or this place is important to study because of fill in the blank. And then finally, what you want to do in that first paragraph is have a preview. And so I say this as an example. In the following essay, I'll first showcase how Dickinson, Blair, and Ott discuss the important concepts of rhetoric, place, and memory, then supply my critical approach borrowed from Smith and Bergman's analysis of the Alcatraz tour, and then move to my analysis and conclusion. So, preview. And then, that's the first paragraph. Second paragraph, moving into summarizing in your own way the main points, or what you see as the main points from the introduction of our textbook. Making sure you use correct parenthetical documentation and everything like that. By the way, the Academic Skills Center has this assignment. They have the grading rubric. Again, as I said, I think it's on KC. The grading rubric is on KC. And so I would highly suggest that you go to the Academic Skills Center and get a little bit of help with this. They know what's expected here, and I think they could help out tremendously. After this 3 pages or so of the summary of the first in the introduction of our textbook, you should have a section. The first 3 pages won't have any labeled section. You'll just have a title, and then that first paragraph, and then however many paragraphs you have that summarize the introduction, and then what you'll have is a section. You can put it, center it, flush, left, I don't really care, but it should say something like critical perspective, or critical approach, critical probes, something like that. And this is where I want you, in just a paragraph or 2 paragraphs, specifically indicate the critical probes that you will be using in order to analyze your topic, analyze your place of public memory. You can, again, as I said, borrow specifically from a certain chapter, and this is sort of how I've designed the class. We read a particular chapter, I tease out critical probes, and then we use those critical probes in order to try to think about a certain tour. Like right now, hopefully you, or later on today, we'll be doing some stuff with a magnolia plantation and gardens using the various critical probes that I sent you from Michael Bowman. But you can mix and match too. So whatever it is, you want to be very, very clear. And you can say, in my analysis of the carriage rides, I particularly use the ideas culled from Smith and Bergman's analysis of Alcatraz. For instance, I am invested in this study of trying to figure out how the carriage ride creates an official memory that might potentially hide other possible vernacular or so-called unofficial memories, or something, I don't know, just but something very clear like that. Then the analysis, that is the second labeled section, and it should be labeled analysis. Again, you can have it centered, you can have it flush left, I don't care, but it should be labeled. I give you a very specific way of designing this or organizing this, the diet method. And the D, the I, the E, and the T do not need to be labeled, but it's just an organizational scheme for the analysis. So what should you do when you start with the first paragraph in the analysis section? Should start with a description of the tour. And I don't know how many paragraphs this will take you, but you are thickly and richly describing the tour experience. You want your reader to get a sense that he or she is taking the tour along with you. What happens first? What happens second? And even if you're doing the virtual thing, describe your process of going through the various tabs or whatever you do. But very thickly describe for your reader the tour. That's the D. Then the I. Again, you don't need to have labels here. Just whenever you're finished with the D, the next paragraph is going to say something like, now that I have described the tour, I interpret this tour primarily as one that creates an official memory that celebrates the wealthy past in Charleston, or something like that. And then what you're going to do here is basically you're answering here your critical probes. So whatever the critical probes were here, you're answering those questions. This is the official memory versus this is what it hides. Whatever it is, and then using evidence from your tour, maybe borrowing from some of the things you said in the description to support whatever interpretive points that you are trying to make. And what I say here, it could be about 3 paragraphs or so. It could be longer. It's sort of up to you how you want to do that. Then the E bit, which is evaluation. And here, what you're trying to do is to really summarize the possible consequences of the tour in light of your interpretation of what you think's going on. What messages does the tour communicate? And so here, I mean, valuation is valuation. Is it good stuff? Is it bad stuff? Is it dangerous? Whatever. What are the